I didn't buy this bag, I made it. I made it for my own art, and I printed the fabric on the same printer that's sitting on my desk right now. If you've ever bought fabric and thought, I wish I could make my own, stay right here because that ends today. So let's take a quick look here at the file we're working with today. This is one of my papers that I've made using the CitraSolv process on National Geographic magazines. The CitraSolv technique uses a natural citrus solvent. It dissolves the printed ink on the magazine pages. So what you get are these organic, abstract, dissolved ink designs that are completely unique every single time. No two pages are ever the same. Once everything's dry, I digitize all the pages by scanning them at high resolution. This allows you to print them over and over without ever running out. You can download them, print them on paper, print them on fabric, which is exactly what we're going to do today. The magic ingredient for me are these printable fabric sheets. These are cotton fabric sheets that have been pre-treated and bonded to a paper backing so they feed through your regular inkjet printer, just like a piece of paper. For me to print this properly, I need to flip the side over with fabric down and then the way it runs through my printer. So you'll need to know how your printer feeds, so you'll want to do some test runs with regular paper. One really important tip before you start printing: you want a printer with pigment-based ink, not dye-based ink. Pigment ink is much more color fast on fabric, and my printer is an HP OfficeJet Pro, and it works perfectly. Another piece of important information is you want to heat set your fabric once your printout is dry. I have a small Cricut mini press, but you can use a dry iron. I have a very small area, so that's why I use the Cricut mini press. But first, before you can do that, you need to go ahead and separate your paper backing to your printed fabric. And you can just easily, it comes off once you get the corner free, and print it off real easy. And then I have a heat mat that came with the Cricut little mini press, and I laid it out on there. And I will be adding a fusible interfacing, which will give extra structure and stability to my printed fabric. So I cut the fusible interfacing down to the size of my fabric, which was about 8.5 by 11. I did not cut the white border off because I felt that would leave me extra for the seam and I wouldn't have to go into the actual image itself. But when you look at the fusible interfacing, there are two sides. There is a bumpy side that's kind of shiny and a plain on the back. So I used the bumpy side to the back of the fabric and lay it out. It's a little fiddly sometimes because the fabric wants to roll up and stuff, and plus because I just make it so close that I want to make sure that every side is covered. And then I have a piece of parchment and I lay the parchment over top. Whether I was using the fusible interfacing or not, if I was just heat setting my fabric, I would use the parchment as well. I like to protect the fabric from, even though it's a dry heat, I have it at medium temperature. I just want to protect the fabric from being just ironed right on the face of the fabric. So anyways, I'm just slowly working from the center out, trying to make sure all of the areas are ironed and fused together onto the back of the fabric. Okay, now that we have our ironing done, let's see what we got. It's hot. Be careful when you touch it because it will be hot and a little bit stuck to the mat, but let's take a look here. And always check your edges. I never get them all the way done the first time. So basically what I do is now I'm going to concentrate on the very edges of my fabric, because usually I do well with the center and the outer edges. I just don't get those edges real good. I need to focus a little bit more on those. So I don't put a lot of pressure. I just want to be steady and have some heat holding down so that the fusible interface will be bound to the actual fabric back so that we have a nice solid piece to work with on our next step. All right, we have the fabric completed. It's been adhered to the fusible interface. Sorry about this, I didn't get this part captured. Basically, I have muslin as the back of my bag. I cut it out to about 8.5 by 11 to match my fabric. I did a 1/2 inch seam allowance on all sides. I trimmed the inner corners, those triangles, to eliminate some bulkiness within, and just simple, not lined, just a straight stitch across each of the seams, and we'll turn it inside to see how it's looking. Again, doesn't have a whole lot of structure, but it has a lot of strength, and putting that fusible interface in really does help protect everything. I might do a lining sometime. I know that this is not the last time that I will be doing this, but you can see how nice my corners came out as far as the bag itself goes, and it feels really sturdy, and I've used it. It works really well. All the seams are nice in alignment, and just a plain muslin, and now we're ready for a crossbody. It's time to add the handle. So I have a cotton webbed trim that I measured 51 inches because I tried it on, and I am marking it up with a washable marker. I wanted to make it into a square box with an X in the middle so that I didn't have a whole lot of bulk going in, and I wanted it to be very sturdy so that it wouldn't come apart. I didn't have heavy duty thread, so I just doubled up my thread and tied a knot on the end so that I could go ahead and stitch it on. I chose to do a back stitch rather than a running stitch. I wanted it to be as secure as possible, and because I'm hand stitching it, I just felt more comfortable doing that. And it was actually pretty easy. I have a stainless steel, very sharp needle in my hand, and this is the back stitch that I am performing, and it worked like a charm. You can see my square. It's ever so light, and basically I tried on the other one without a square. Not good. I need to have a line to follow because I'm brand new to this hand stitching, and so having a guide on my fabric is very beneficial. And I also had to pin my strap into the bag so that it held its place as I started stitching. But you can see I am a little fumbly with what I'm doing, but I really like it, and I know it'll get better the more I do of it, and I know that I will be because it's really enjoyable. And to make your own personal bag is just really so satisfying. Put any kind of design you want on it and any kind of fabric, and boy, oh boy, just think of the things you can make. And here it is, my own art on a bag that I made with my own hands. Here you can see how the hand stitching came out with the square box, X in the middle, and no lines. It washed out beautifully. I loved it. I can't wait to do more. This was done simple because it was more about the fabric than complicated sewing. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I am looking forward to putting together more. I do have free downloadable papers of this specific design and many more on my website. If you go to creativerise.art under free resources, free digital papers, I have 3 different colors. I have blue, yellow, green, and I have a red. You just go through the simple checkout process and they're downloadable, and you'll have 3 different designs in each. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I know I've enjoyed making it, and if you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have as far as printing your own fabric with your own designs and your own art. Have fun, and thanks for watching.